Marcus, Texas, and Hays County, and we're going live around the world. This is We the People. This is Thursday, the 23rd of September. I'm Rob Rourke, your host, and we are streaming to you live thanks to the technology of Coolites, and we are at smtx.tv, and glad to have you with us tonight. We've got a really good show, and we've got a lot to talk about tonight, but always remember, this show is about you, we the people, getting involved and getting out and understanding that it is all of us working together in the community that helps to make the community strong, and to your voice and what you say counts. So on that note, make sure you call in tonight, 512-754-0084. And we are already ready to go here. Good evening. You are on We the People. Who am I talking with tonight?
Hi, this is Chuck Wolf.
Chuck, good to have you with us. I'll tell you what, Chuck, hold on just a second. We're going to introduce our first speaker, our first guest, and I have a feeling that's who you're probably calling in to talk about tonight. So give us just a minute, and we're going to go right into our first guest tonight, who is Mr. Gary Cutler. And Mr. Cutler is running for sheriff here in Hays County. Glad to have you with us tonight.
Glad to be here.
And just kind of as a opener here, and then we're going to take the question from our guest. But tell us a little bit about why you're running for sheriff, and what's making you want to get involved.
Well, running for sheriff was kind of a quick decision, because I've known all the sheriffs for 25 years here in Hays County, and they've all been great sheriffs. Well, when the sudden death of Sheriff Allen Bridges, when he passed away a month after he was elected, I was approached by some people who said, would you consider, they were going to make an appointment in Commissioner's Court, and they asked if I would consider putting my name in. So I did. I submitted a resume to all the members of the court, and did not make the selection. And after the selection was made, I was approached again, and they asked me would I consider running, because everybody looked at my qualifications, background, credentials. And I actually sat around the Christmas tree with my family, my wife and two boys, and we discussed it. And the quote was, "Dad, that's all you've done all your life. What a better way to end your career than going out as a sheriff."
Well, good, good. Well, thank you for making that decision, and appreciate you. Because I know this takes a lot. When you run for an office, it takes up all your time, doesn't it?
Well, it takes up lots of time.
And I mean, there's stuff that you would have never thought that you'd be out there putting up signs and going around and asking people where you can put your signs up, and
Yes, we've been campaigning for about a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And one thing about the campaign trail, until you experience it, we have met so many nice people that we would have never met if I wouldn't have been on the trail campaigning. And you can't take that away from the results. The results of the outcome of the election, you still met a lot of great people along the way.
Well, talking about great people, our first caller here, I don't want to leave you waiting too long. Chuck, thanks for calling in, and what's your question for Gary Cutler this evening?
Well, this is going to be a kind of an interesting question. And it involves an article in the San Marcos Daily Record written by a fireman by the name of Howie Minor. And this particular letter to the editor is really a very thinly disguised attack ad on one of the candidates for mayor. Now, what I'm learning from this is that the city council, apparently at budget time a year ago, set aside a pot of money which was to be used to pay the firemen, who I am going to assume happen to be employees of the city. They certainly are taking tax dollars for their effort, and that there's an organization which is basically called the Firefighters Association that structures the salaries for these people. And if it can happen in the fire department, and I don't know that it hasn't happened in the police department or in any part of county government, I want to know what you think of that kind of thing.
Well, first of all, I don't see it happening in the sheriff's office, and I don't see it happening in the police departments. I don't know all the details of what's happened as far as the city concerning this money and the fire department, but I know they got associations, and like all law enforcement agencies, a lot of them with the county and all, they use a CLEAT organization. They have attorneys and stuff on board when they're negotiating, doing things. So I really don't see that being an issue with law enforcement.
Well, in the county, I'm assuming all of your deputy sheriffs and your people are employees of the county. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And it would follow to me then that this guy that's the fireman is an employee of the city of San Marcos. And so I'm very curious as to how in the world, you can get an organization like an association to essentially be the outsourcer for a department. That's crazy.
So
I just want to toss this your way, kind of get your feelings on it. I know that a city issue is not a county issue, but nonetheless.
Well, I would think that if there was any indication of some illegal activity or anything like that, I don't know it, so I don't know that there is, if there isn't, but I would feel sure that the district attorney's office would have been involved in looking into this if there was any indication of any illegal activity, which I don't know that there is or isn't, because I don't know all the details of what took place with San Marcos City or the fire department, but the district attorney's office would probably take a look at it if someone contacted them to look into it.
How big a part do you, as the sheriff, or would you, if you're elected sheriff, play in determining the salaries of your various deputies and the people who work for the sheriff's department?
Well, salaries and benefits are a big thing with any company, any law enforcement agency, any company, and it's be important to me because the way I see that, when you get an officer, let's just use an example, say we started an officer at $35,000. I'm just throwing that number out.
Sure.
We start him at $35,000, and he's 3 years deep into his career. And north of us, you got a large agency, the Austin Police Department, Travis County Sheriff's Department. South of us, you got Bexar County and San Antonio. And if you don't take care of your officers, you're going to lose your investment, which is a big thing. You get an officer going in the right direction and you lose your investment. I don't want to see that happen. So I would definitely want to work with the officers in the court, the commissioner's court, to be sure that they're paid well for what they do.
now is part of the salaries and everything. They have an arbitration board, don't they? That also sets some of the. Am I correct for the deputies and for?
I'm not think. I don't know. It's about an arbitration board.
Okay.
I mean, the salaries
I'm not real familiar.
It's all through commissioner's court.
Okay.
That's it's all through the budget process. It's all, and I think there's a pay scale that they're on, and there's a starting salary as you're a rookie officer, a young officer, first year officer, and it goes up. And if you choose to go the promotional route, then you get increases. But it's all set through working through the commissioner's court.
Well, Chuck, thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your questions tonight. We're going to kind of clear the line in case anyone else wants to call in, and we're going to. I kind of want to go back just a little bit, though, to what you see as the role of the sheriff in the county. I know, one of the things is that we really like to look at getting back to the basics. What is getting people to understand, what these people do. I mean, you go and you elect someone, and it says sheriff. Okay, everybody has their idea, but what is the role of the sheriff in the Hays County?
Well, like you said, back to the basics. He's the keeper of the peace. But he's a chief law enforcement officer in the county, and so he's responsible for providing law enforcement services for every citizen and or visitor or student, whatever the situation is, to the county, and also he's responsible for the jail. He's responsible for all the inmates that are booked in the jail and provide them the necessities to get them to court, and he's responsible for that. Large cities, larger than obviously, or larger counties and cities in Hays County, a lot of times there's a municipality works that has its own jail, but ultimately the prisoners are going to end up, or the inmates are going to end up at some point in time in their county jail in that particular county, and he's responsible for that. For example, if say, just once again, I'm just using an example, say right now that San Marcos Police Department just didn't exist anymore. The sheriff is ultimately responsible for providing law enforcement services here because he's got the entire county. However, when you've got good municipal police departments like you do in this county, then you defer to them, but you work with them.
Yeah. Well, and I liked what you said about the keeper of the peace, And, you know, it goes back, I had someone, when I told them that you were coming on the show the other night, said, got to ask him about Sheriff Mack and Sheriff Joe. Yeah, and so I'm going to go ahead, you know, for those of you that may not understand, Sheriff Joe Arpaio is the in Phoenix, Arizona. He is you know, kind of on the verge of being semi-famous, I would say, for the most part. He's for many different things, making the prisoners wear pink so that they don't want to run out, and giving them housing them in tents, and doing a few things out in Arizona that I'm not sure we'd be able to do here in Texas due to the law. But and then Sheriff Mack is believes in the strict constitutionality, that the sheriff is the ultimate keeper of your rights as citizens in the county. That, you know, he is the buffer between you and the federal government to protect your rights in the county. So what do you kind of think on that?
Well, let's start with Sheriff Joe. He's a very unique sheriff, no doubt about it. And I follow him and read about him, and he's really, as far as I know, and following and reading about him, he's doing nothing wrong but doing his job that they elect him to do in Arizona. And you know, putting them in pink outfits and all that, apparently it's working out over there. Of course, you got to understand he has a very large jail population he has to deal with over there. But he's doing what they elect him to do. And so I do follow him, and what I'd like to do is, once I'm elected, to bring him over for about 2 weeks, see if he can't get us going in the right direction over here. I'm just joking about that. And back to Sheriff Mack, I've read about him. I've looked at his movies, his videos. Very interesting. He took a case all the way to the United States Supreme Court and won, concerning states' rights in the Second Amendment and 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution, and he set a really good example for the sheriffs across the United States.